Let's bring in Durwood Zaelke, who is the founder and the head of the Institute for Governance and Sustainable Development. He joins us from Washington, D.C. Durwood, always lovely to have you on the program. I'm sure you were listening, and Frank was talking about the flash flooding, not only in New York, but also New Jersey and in the Philadelphia area. But the two other coasts were and are dealing with their own natural disasters, the fires out west in California, and obviously Hurricane Ida passing through Louisiana. I mean, aren't these exactly the kinds of scenes that scientists say the world would see more of because of the climate change caused by humans?
We've known this for at least 30 years that this was coming. One of the great scientists who recently passed away, Wally Broker, said the climate system is like an angry beast and we're poking it with sticks. Well, we're now poking it with hotter and hotter sticks. And this is exactly the consequences that we predicted and that in some sense we deserve because we have not taken the action to stop burning fossil fuel and to stop the other short-lived climate pollutants that we need to do immediately to slow down the warming and prevent the even more damaging future. So when we warm up the atmosphere, as we're doing, the atmosphere holds more moisture, simple rule of physics. And that moisture comes out in these intense rains, which cause the floods. And so this is a shadow of the future, but that shadow is going to get darker and darker. This is not a static moment. We're racing through a system that's getting worse and worse. And if we don't win the next sprint to 2030 by slamming on the brakes with the climate pollutants, we risk losing complete control of the climate system and entering a hothouse future that will be almost impossible to slow down. We'll risk climate chaos.
Okay, tell me this. Do you, in your honest opinion, think that this event, whether you call it, us humans poking the beast of the climate system with sticks, going to be the example needed for not only the United States, but also countries around the world in terms of better tackling or adapting better strategies to combat this crisis?
Well, at some point, we have to expect it as the yogurt hits the fan, as it's doing right now, and starts splattering the world's leaders directly, that they'll respond in a more vigorous way. It hasn't happened yet, but we're running up to the COP26 in Glasgow. We have a chance with new leadership from President Biden, from his special climate envoy, John Kerry, and their wonderful team, and the European leadership, I mean, and many countries now getting on board, knowing that something much, much more rigorous needs to be done. But it's got to be done fast. And that's why we need to take out pollutants like methane. This is second to carbon dioxide, but it's the pollutant that lasts in the atmosphere only for about a decade. And by stopping it now, we can slow warming in the near term while we phase out of fossil fuels, move into clean energy. Got to do that, but it's going to take us longer to get out of the energy systems we're in, move into clean energy. We've got to slam on the brakes, cutting the other super pollutants right now to give us a margin of safety.
Trevor, you know what's ironic and possibly sad? I mean, today we're talking about what's happening in New York, but there are billions of people around the world just kilometers away from coasts, mostly in underdeveloped countries, developing countries. They often see the effects of the climate crisis, and they've been dealing with this for many years. It's sad to see that something has to major happen in the United States like this for this to come into the forefront of public opinion.
It is it's a moral failure. I mean, we're seeing these same type of floods in Germany very recently. So Europe is experiencing the same thing, and it's floods on one coast, it's fires on another coast. So climate impacts are intensifying all over the world, and we do need to pay attention to the fact that the poor, the bottom of the pyramid, will suffer first and most. And there are leaders like Professor Ramanathan at Scripps who've teamed up with the religious community to focus on the moral question to make sure we're not leaving the poor behind as we solve climate change. So the idea of climate justice is emerging as a very important new force, along with the youth movement led by people like Greta Thunberg and her allies. And so we see new forces coming in to help battle the fossil fuel industry and those who want to go slow and have put out the false information for many, many decades and tried to blame the consumers of the energy for their failure to move to clean energy.
Durwood Zaelke, always a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks for the analysis.